For all you do. I wanted to share from my own personal life. When I was in my college days, young adult days, and I was searching in my faith, there was numerous Catholic bookstores in various cities where I was visiting or working, where I would walk in and be able to find good resources to answer my questions, to help me along the way. Great people behind the desk that I could say, well, I'm looking for something like this. It had an impact on my life, and I know you're touching so many souls. So thank you for all you're doing. As I get started, I want to talk about gardening. I want us to talk about gardening. Does anyone here like gardening? Okay, gardening. All right, so I got to tell you, my mom, I visited my mom in Northwest Indiana here outside of Chicago. She is an amazing gardener. I grew up with, she's from Italy, Tuscany, and it was like little Tuscany in my backyard. Beautiful flowers, fresh fruits and vegetables. It was just incredible. But there's one thing that I've learned about gardening over the years, and that is this. Gardening is not genetic. You see, my mom is a green thumb, I'm a black thumb. I'm really good at killing things. And when we moved, my family, when we moved to Colorado, my wife and I, about 11 years ago, I lived next door to a man who was, like my mom, an incredible gardener. And he had all these fresh fruits and vegetables all over the place. And on the border of our property was raspberry plants on his side that went under the fence and were springing up all over on my side. I didn't know what these were, and I asked him, he said, those are raspberry plants. And I thought to myself, oh, wow, what do I have to do to take care of these? And he said, nothing. They take care of themselves. And I was like, that's my kind of plant. and I enjoyed those raspberries. In fact, that first summer, the kids were outside and they're watching all these little berries starting to come. Like, Dad, the berries are coming. Dad, they're starting to turn a little bit red. Dad, they're ripe. Oh, Dad, we're eating the raspberries. Thank you, Dad, so much for the raspberries. And I said, oh, shucks, I'm such a good gardener. But it was the next summer where my neighbor moved away. He wasn't there for me to ask questions. I still had my raspberry plants, but they weren't doing so well. I can tell they were struggling. It was a really hot and dry summer, particularly dry that summer, and I figured, well, maybe they just need a little water. So I remember around 4th of July weekend, I would go out and start watering the plants every morning. And then after about a week and a half of this, I could still tell they were struggling. They were starting to like wilt over a little bit. I go, what's wrong here? And I thought they must need a lot of water. So I started a double-a-day water treatment plan. So I got up in the morning, I'd come home from work and water the plants. And again, 3 weeks into this, they're still struggling. They're starting to turn brown on the leaves. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And then one day, I saw what the real problem was. My plants surely needed water, but there was something else going on. I saw a whole network of something called bindweed. Bindweed. Do you know what bindweed is? I had no idea what bindweed was, but now that parable about the weed that chokes the plant, that has new meaning for me. Because all through my raspberry garden, there's all these weeds going around, wrapping themselves around the plants, choking, literally choking the life out of my plants. And I thought they just needed water. They needed a lot more than that. You know, as I travel around the country, I'm blessed to speak to many clergy retreats, deacons, catechists, parish leaders, and I hear a similar kind of story over and over again. I hear stories like, you know, these people, they were coming to church and they were involved in the parish, and now I don't see them. They're not practicing their faith anymore. They came to our Bible study, or they went through RCAA. Do you know the statistics on RCAA? About 1 out of 3 people going through RCAA stopped practicing their faith within just about 3 years. They stopped going to church on Sunday. Well, we gave them the faith. What happened? Even more tragically, I hear these stories from many parents. Many parents that say, you know, we gave the kids the faith. You know, we sent them to catechism or to Catholic schools, or we sent them to youth group. They got confirmed. But then in high school, they started asking some questions like, you know, Mom, why do I need a church? I mean, I'm a good person. I believe in God. I'm spiritual. Why do I need a church? Where's the question coming from? And then they go off to college and they come home one spring break, maybe their sophomore year, and some moral topic comes up around the table, and the kid says, you know, that's fine for you, but I don't think we should impose our morality on other people. I don't think we should be so judgmental. We need to be more tolerant. Why is the Catholic Church so intolerant? And Mom and Dad are wondering, where is that coming from? Why are they saying this? We gave them the faith. And then they graduate from college and they get a job and they fall in love and they start living together and living together and living together. And after a few years, the mom and dad say, hey, have you ever thought about getting married? Like, marriage? Why do I need to get married? I mean, we like each other, we got good jobs, we get along. Why do I need some certificate from some church? How many of you have heard stories like that? It's all over the country, right? All over the world. What's going on? We gave the faith. But in our world today, the cultural situation is so different than it was even just 5 years ago, much less 10 or 20 years ago. When I talk to pastors, I say the people come to our parishes are very different than they were 10 years ago. They got new questions. They have a new world, a new framework of looking at things. And we got to meet them where they're at. How do we do that? Well, you see, it's not enough just to pass on the faith today. We need to do that, don't get me wrong. But our plants need more than water. They need us to be mindful, as the Vatican, when it teaches on catechesis, how do we do catechesis? We have to be mindful of the soil on which the seed is landing. It's not enough just to pass on the seed. You've got to be mindful of the soil. What's going on in the cultural environment around? Because there are many weeds out there in the culture that are going to choke the life out of the faith life out of the people we love and that we serve. And so it's not enough, for example, we need to be orthodox. We've got to pass on the faith. Amen to that, of course. But we got to do more, because if all we do is pass on the fact that there's 12 apostles, 10 commandments, 7 sacraments, and 3 persons of the Trinity, our children are going to have almost zero chance of that faith surviving in this culture we're living in, because there are so many weeds that are undermining our faith. The culture's view of what is love. Just what is love? Everyone thinks, well, love is just, it's just a feeling, or it's about what I get out of this, it's about pleasure, it's about these emotions. If we don't get love right, do we talk to our kids about love in our parish? Are we teaching about love? Are we preaching from the pulpit about what real love is? Because the world out there has a very skewed view of love that's like, I love coffee, I love tea, I love the Chicago Cubs, I love a good steak. But once I'm done with my coffee and I'm done with my steak, the love affair is over and I move on to the next thing, because our culture's view of love is, what do I get out of it? It does something for me. I take that into my marriage, it's never going to work. We live in a culture where there's so many of these questions. Are we going to address it? That's what we did in the Symbolon program at the Augustine Institute. This video is used. How many of you are familiar with this program, by the way? So this is being used in over 5,000 parishes around the world. And it's being used for RCAA, but even more than that. I think about 60-70% of people using this program are just adults like you and I. They're trying to figure out, how do I live my faith? How do I get that faith formation I didn't get growing up? This is not your grandma's catechism. This is a catechism meant for our modern era that addresses the questions people have today. Like, why do I need a church? Can I be spiritual? I just be spiritual on my own. Why do I need a church? Or questions about what makes Christianity so different? I mean, all religions are just the same in the end. We're all searching for God. And, why you have your Bible, and the Muslims have their tradition, and the Hindus have their traditions. And why do you have to believe that after you die, God baits you in purgatory for 500 years? Why do Catholics have these strange beliefs? Why do you have to confess your sins of grief? How do we answer all these questions that our people in our modern world really have about our faith? That's what the Symbolon program has been doing, and this is the book that goes along with the Symbolon program here. Love Unveiled, the Catholic Faith Explained, goes chapter by chapter through the various episodes from Symbolon. So if you're looking for a resource that helps address those cultural weeds, you're looking for something so you can talk intelligently about your faith to your family members, to your children, or in your parish. That's what this resource is, and we're excited because Ignatian Press just came out with the paperback edition of this. Love Unveiled, the Catholic Faith Explained. We called it that because we wanted to show that everything we believe and do as Catholics, everything, is not just some random rules from our religion. It's all about love. Receiving love, sharing love, and growing in love. Everything we believe, that's what this is all about. So, but one of the biggest cultural weeds that Tony wanted me to talk about, that's out there, is the topic of moral relativism. How do we talk about morality in a world where no one believes in moral truth? where everyone can have their own truth. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, you've had that situation, right? Where you're talking with your coworker, or maybe you're talking to Aunt Sally at the Thanksgiving dinner table. And some moral topic comes up, and immediately she's like, hey, who are you to judge? You shouldn't impose your views on other people. Why aren't you more tolerant? You know what? And you got that feeling inside going, well, I want to defend the church, but you're not quite sure how. You know what I'm talking about? You know, so we do one of two different approaches. We kind of just remain silent. Oh, I don't know what to say, so I don't say anything. Or we think, like, I'll just raise volume. If I raise my volume, then somehow that'll convince her. And you know, that doesn't really go well either. How do we equip people to talk intelligently, effectively, and compassionately about the critical moral issues of our time? That's what we did in this project here called Who Am I to Judge? Responding to relativism with logic and love. And here's my question for you. How confident are you in talking about morality today? If someone says to you, no, that's your truth. Hey, that's fine for you. Yeah, that makes you happy. How confident are you that you can actually win that person over to the real truth of Jesus Christ? How confident are you that the people in your parish are equipped to talk intelligently about these issues? How confident are you that your children and your grandchildren could stand up for the truth in a culture today when a topic like gay marriage comes up? Would they be willing, would they be able to talk about these things? That's what this program is all about here. So I'm going to tell you about the book that we have with Ignatius Press, but also there's the DVD study that we have. So it's an 8-part study program for men's and women's groups, because when people get together and they talk about these things together, they own it for themselves more. And so this is available through Ignatius Press as well. And then there's also this Lighthouse Catholic CD. You can get a copy. In fact, they have some at the Augustine Institute booth, a short talk on this topic as well. But I'm so excited about the book and the video program because as I talk to pastors and catechists, so many of them admit, you know, we've got all these great programs for Bible study and, you know, for First Communion and RCAA, but then when they're asked, you know, what do you do for morality? They say, we don't do much. There's just not much out there. And when I talk to parents say, I know I need to talk to my kids about these moral issues. I don't know how to do it. And so we're so excited that the programs come out because we want to develop something that's going to be really easy, accessible, engaging. It's not a talking head. It's not just abstract philosophy. It is engaging with lots of real-life stories. One family in Denver was telling me they went on a ski trip and they traveled 7 hours to the other side of the state. And they said, Ted, we've been watching your DVDs on the ski trip with our college kids and our high school kids in the car. It was awesome. And I'm thinking, you're watching a DVD while you're driving? Who am I to judge? I don't know. And they say, no, we didn't watch, we were just listening to it. But we didn't even have to watch it. It was so engaging, we couldn't put it down. We kept listening for 7 hours straight. And it sparked incredible conversation. My college kids and my teenage kids were all talking about morality. And that's what we want, to talk about it with the truth. I want to give you just two little nuggets to help you talk about morality. So this is just little excerpts from the book and the video program. One is this, one little nugget here. It's the distinction between making a judgment and judging someone's soul. Making a judgment and judging someone's soul. We have to help people do this because we know in the Bible, Jesus said, don't judge. Now, did you ever notice that's the one biblical verse our secular friends are really good at quoting? Well, you're Jesus, don't judge, you know. But what did he mean by that? We also know that St. Paul actually commands us to judge. The spiritual man judges all things, he says in Corinthians. And so, what the Bible sometimes says don't judge, and sometimes it says we're supposed to judge. How do we make sense out of this? Here's the key. That there's a difference between making a judgment, which is what St. Paul is asking us to do, to judge things. But Jesus condemns over here, don't judge someone's soul, their status before God. That's between them and God alone. That's the distinction. And we should be very confident that it's okay to make judgments. Don't you think it's okay to make judgments? Today, you get out of your car, you notice it's downpour. So I make a judgment, I'm going to get my umbrella. Is that okay to do that? Can you make a judgment like that? Are you a mean, intolerant bigot if you do that? No! If I see my little daughter Kiara about to run into a busy street, you know, my little 3-year-old, can I use my mind and make a judgment that's not good for her? She's going to get hurt. Can I do that? Am I judging her soul? I mean, saying, don't go in there or you're going to go to hell. No, I'm not doing that. I love her and I don't want her to get hurt. Right? We can make judgments all the time. Now I'm going to go one step further. Can we use our minds and make a judgment about people's moral actions? Can we go that far? Amen. Absolutely. God wants us to. So if there's some gal, say here, down in Champaign, Urbana, at the University of Illinois, some freshman that's sleeping around one man after another, can I use my mind to make a judgment? That's not good for her. She's not going to be happy. She's not going to find the love she's longing for. She deserves something greater. Can I do that? Absolutely. Am I judging her soul when I do that? Am I saying she is a wicked person and she's condemned by God? No, I can't play that role of God. Her spiritual status before God is between her and God alone. Who am I to judge, Pope Francis would say. And rightly so. And that's what he's talking about, this kind of judgment over here. We do not stand in the place of God. We don't know the person's background. We don't know their situation. We don't know what they're all going through. We don't know the whole story. I mean, let's say this poor gal was, came from a very broken family, dysfunctional. She never experienced authentic love. Let's say she was sexually abused severely growing up. Let's say she was always taught by feminist teachers, this is what it means to be a liberated woman. Use your sexuality this way. We don't know that whole story, but if let's say she experienced all those things, and I happen to notice what she's doing on Friday night, my heart should go out to her with great compassion and say, oh, and help her to see how much God loves her. God wants to forgive her. I don't need to get into the business of condemning her. So that's between her and God. But here's the key. If I love her, if she means something to me, should I ever say something to her about what she's doing? I'm not saying if I'm a complete stranger, like I walk up on her dorm, hi, I don't know you, but you're in mortal sin. That's just weird. Unless you're some perfect prophet from God. Ordinarily, God works in human friendships. But let's say she's a friend or a family member, a niece. You should say something. It doesn't mean you have to say it right away tomorrow. But in some time, are you praying? Are you sacrificing? Are you praying for that conversation? Because real love is to seek what's best for the other person. And if I love her, if she matters to me, I want to say something to her. I'm sharing this with you because as I speak, especially to the next generation, people in their 20s and 30s, so many of them, you know what they think? They think, I want to be a loving person. Good thing. But they think to be a loving person means never talk about these issues. And this is what relativism is doing. Relativism is preventing us from loving the people in our lives. And I say to the young adults, I say to them, do you want to love people more? Do you want to be a more compassionate person? Then talk about the truth. Because would it be loving? Would it be a loving thing for me to do if I see little Kiara getting ready to run into the busy street and go, oh, well, that works for you. I mean, it's not my life. I wouldn't do that if I were a 3-year-old, but I mean, I don't want to impose my views on you. Would that be a loving thing to do? To sit back and not say anything? Here's the key. Indifference does not equal love. Indifference does not equal love. Do these people matter in your life? God has you on a mission. He's put you out there to make a difference. Will you speak? So don't ever think that making a judgment means you're judging their soul. Let's speak the truth. Amen? Amen. Last little thing. I want to tell a story here. This is the last point. There was a young, true story, college student, was a devout Catholic, great Catholic family. She comes to her freshman year. She's going to Mass every Sunday. But she's at a party one evening, and the topic of gay marriage comes up. And they say, what do you think about gay marriage? She said, no, I'm against it. And all of a sudden, all these people stood up and go, did you hear what she said? She's against gay marriage. Can you believe that? And they're all, oh, and she's trying to answer the questions. How can you tell other people what marriage is? You should impose your views. Why do you think your religion's right? And they're just beating her up emotionally. And she didn't know how to answer. And she walked out of that party changed. She walked out saying, man, it's too hard to stand up for my faith. And so she just did a little tiny move. This is very important for you to know it. I call it being a relativist in your heart. She just did a little tiny move. She would add 2 words to her moral statements. Because she didn't want to reject her Catholic tradition, her Catholic faith altogether, but she wanted to fit in and not be beat up for her beliefs. That's the pressure that many people feel in our culture of relativism. So what she would do is, a topic would come up like abortion. She'd say, I think abortion is wrong for me.